Hello and good afternoon, Year Sixes. Mr. Bellingham here again, and today we're going to have a second look at making our song in the app Music Maker Jam. Last week, in the last lesson, you learned how to open the app, download the app, look at kind of starting to create the song and getting 3 instruments, I think, some of you possibly 4, into kind of the main structure of your song. So if you didn't do that last week, make sure you go back and have a look at that lesson before you start on today's lesson, because it just gives you a little bit of the basics of the app and shows you how to add instruments, choose which kind of samples and loops you want, and get things started. So it is important that you don't miss that lesson out. Assuming you've done that, then we're ready to start with lesson 2. Thanks so much for sharing videos and pictures and just little bits of you doing your song. It was great to see some of the messages and some of you saying how much you'd enjoyed it. So yeah, thanks so much for sharing, and as always, just share what you're doing. It's great because obviously we're not able to be together learning at the moment, so it just means that we can still see what you're doing, kind of help you with any problems you're having, and just see how great your work is. So yeah, I encourage you just to keep on sharing your work, please. Okay, right, let's get to the thing that you want to do, which is carry on with your song. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the app. So we find the Music Maker Jam app and press on the icon and get things open. Now it may come up with the home screen a little bit like this. If it does, if you click right at the bottom, you'll see some kind of little headers. You can see one that says My Content, and it has a picture of a music note inside a file. If you click on My Content, your project from last week will be there. You can see mine is called Year 6 2021. So I'm just going to click on that, and it should open up and be where we left it last week. Okay, so first thing I want to do is just have a little listen, see what it sounds like, remind myself. It's been a week since I recorded this video, so just even re-familiarizing myself with the song, thinking about how I wanted it to go is going to be important. So I'm just going to press the blue play button in the bottom left corner, and we will see how my song sounds. Okay, so there you go. That is as far as we got last week on my track. So I've got some drums, I've got some bass guitar, and I've got some sort of keyboard. It's called an arpeggiated keyboard. It's a bit from with a synth sound. So it just gives us a little bit of a basis to start our song with. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do before we carry on today is I want you just to pause the video in a second and just have a think, just for a minute or two. If there's someone around you, then feel free to have a chat with them and maybe talk about what could you do next in your song. What do you think the next steps that you would like to do are? Okay, so pause the video now, have a think. When you've kind of come up with a few ideas of what you'd like to do next, then press play again and we will carry on with the next steps. Okay, off you go. Okay, so hopefully you've had a little think about what we might do next. And there's loads of different things we can do when we're making a song, because there's lots of things we will want to do and there's not really a right or wrong order to do it in. So I'm sure you thought of things like add some more instruments, maybe add another section, so it's not just the same 8 bars just on a loop over and over again. But that we can start to just think about like splitting up into verse, chorus, instrumental, like bridge bit in the middle, and we can certainly do things like that. We are going to start with that today. We're going to add a second section, and then we're going to look at how we add instruments in with that as well. Okay, so if you have 2 devices and you can kind of work as I'm talking, then feel free to kind of join along as I'm talking you through this next section. If your song is on the same device that you're watching the video on, you may need to keep pausing the video and switching back to your device, but just take that at your own speed. Okay, so if we have a look back at my screen, you will see at the top there is a big A in a blue box, and that just means simply section A. So all we want to do is we want to create a second section so that we've got two different bits to start working on. So all we do is we click on the section A at the top, and it will bring up a little menu. And you can see we've got four different things there. So we've got either a plus, which is going to add a new section. We've got the little pencil or pen picture, which is going to let us change the name of the section. We've got this little square with the number 8 in. That's going to just let us change how long the section is, how many bars of music our section lasts for. And then we've got the red bin, which would delete the section, which obviously we don't want to do at the moment, but you know, later on you may want to delete some sections if you've got too many, or if you've changed some and things like that. So all we're going to do now is we're just going to press the top button, which is the plus, and you can see next to it it's made a second section, and it's called A, and then in brackets it's number 1. Okay, so first thing that's important to remember is whichever section is blue is the section that you're working on at the moment. Make sure you're always working on the section that you want to be working on, because it's really easy to end up editing the wrong bit of your song and then wondering why it's all gone a little bit wrong and you've got a bit confused. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my second section. And it makes no sense at all for me to call it section A1, so I'm going to change the name. So I'll just click on that title again. I'm going to click on the pen button or the pencil button, and I'm just going to change it to section B. Okay, so make sure you do that if you're working along with me. If you need to pause the video to go and set up your section, then it's probably a good time to do that now. So there it is. Currently we've now got two sections of the song. They are, if I flick between them, exactly the same. So the next thing we want to do is hopefully you thought about adding some more instruments. So I'm going to leave section A exactly as it was, but I'm going to start to add a little bit more to section B, just to make kind of the difference and make a big change in the music. We've talked before in class, haven't we, about the idea of dynamics, and the idea being that we can vary the volume of a piece of music, and we can do that in a number of different ways, but that we don't want our music to just be the same all the way through. Okay, we want to, if we think back to like when you write a story, we've talked before about you have an opening, you have a build-up, you have a problem, you have a resolution, you have an ending, and it's like going up a mountain and back down and up a mountain and back down and things like that. And our song wants to be just the same. We need to have really quieter sections with less instruments in. We need to have louder sections with more instruments in, and we can add extra things in, we can take things out, we can change the volumes of different instruments in different sections, so that our song, as it goes along, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, it evolves into different parts at different times. Okay, so the easiest way to do that is either to change volume or to change instruments. So we can either add new instruments, or we can change things that we already have. So I'm going to show you how to do both ones. We only have 8 tracks, so we don't have an enormous amount to work with. We can only have 8 instruments in total. So if I want to change my drums, rather than adding another drum kit, I can simply change it in section B, and it won't affect section A. Okay, but let's start by having a look at how we might add some instruments. So just like we did last week, we already have our 3 instruments there. All we do is, if we look at the 4th track, which is the next empty track, I'm just going to click on the plus and see what else I could add. Now, I already have some drums, bass guitar, and a keyboard, so I need to have a think about what else I might want to add. So I'm going to scroll through these pictures at the top and look for some things that I haven't done yet. So I can see that I don't have any electric guitar in, so maybe that would be a good thing to add. So just to make sure I listen to it, all I do is I can scroll through the different things here, like we did last week, just as a reminder. I'm currently looking on Radio Rock. I can also move across to smooth hip hop, and I've got a couple there. Again, depending what pack you chose for your sample, you might have totally different things to me. You can see I've only got 2 electric guitars in smooth hip hop, but if I pop back over to Radio Rock, I've got a few more to choose from. So your packs will have a different mixture of instruments. But all I want to do is I want to have a listen to some. I want to listen to it with my song. So as well as listening to how it sounds, I also want to press the blue play button to listen to everything together, because that will help me see if it blends in well, if it sounds good together. Okay, so I'm just going to do that quickly now. If you watch me choose a couple, and then I'll give you a bit of time to have a go at finding your own. Okay, so I'm going to start just by listening through to a few of the different electric guitars. Okay, so there I've listened to a few, and I think the one that I like best was back in the Radio Rock section, and it was called, this one, Sheridan Trem, which means tremolo, guitar C. So that's the one I'm going to go for now. Again, if I pop it on, click back on the title, it will go back to how it was, and I've got it activated so it's blue, so if I play my song, I know that I will hear it as part of all of the instruments as well. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. Again, just take as long as you need. Pause the video, have a go at adding another instrument for yourself. It can be a guitar, it can be something totally different. And then when you've done that, like we've done several times now, just press play and we'll carry on with the next part of our song. Okay, off you go. Okay, so welcome back. Hopefully you now have another instrument chosen and picked, and you've got something that you like the sound of. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to walk us through just how I'm going to do the same process again, but having a look at a different instrument that we could choose. I'm not going to go through it all in the same detail, but we'll just have a little look at how we can do it, and then I'll let you have a go at it for yourself. So all I'm going to do again, I'm going to press the plus. I'm just going to turn it off so it doesn't make a sound, just because it causes a problem here as I'm recording it. And again, if we look through the top, we now know we've got bass guitar, we've got drums, this is a piano. We don't actually have a standard kind of piano keyboard in my song yet. I have like more of an electronic synthesizer, which is later on. We have an electric guitar. I don't yet have any strings. I don't yet have any acoustic guitar. I do have a synthesizer, and I don't yet have any kind of singing or vocals in it. So now again, it's just up to you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to add another couple of instruments, but I'm going to let you have a bit of time just to have a look through, and maybe by the end of it, you could have got yourself up to 6 instruments, okay? Now, if you want to have multiple of the same thing, so you want to have 2 electric guitars, that's brilliant. You want to have 2 keyboards, fantastic. There's nothing wrong with doing that at all. I'd probably steer away from having 2 drums, 2 drum kits, and 2 bass guitars, just because it will make your rhythm very messy. But if you want to have like multiple things of the same, like guitar or keyboard, then that is absolutely fine. All I'd encourage you to do is, as we're adding more tracks, it's going to make it harder to sound good, because if you're not careful, what will happen as we add more things is everything will just get muddier and less clear, and it'll just become kind of a wall of noise rather than like distinguished parts. So really, when you listen, think, does this actually add something to my song? Make sure you listen to it, not just the track by itself, because all of them sound cool, but listen to it with the rest of your song and think, does this actually make it sound better, or am I just adding it for the sake of it? Okay, if you're adding it for the sake of it, it's probably not a good idea to add it, because it'll end up actually detracting from your song rather than adding it. Okay, but pause the video, have another, as long as you need to get yourself up to, I'd say, at least 4 tracks, which is where we are now, hopefully. but up to maybe 5 or 6. For now, don't go past 6 because it'll give you nothing, nowhere to go if you want to add an extra section later. But try and get yourself up to 6 sections, 6 tracks, and we're aiming for this to be kind of our big, loudest chorus. So listen to it, get yourself till you're happy with it, and then restart the video. Okay, while you're doing that, I'm gonna choose a couple more tracks on mine, and then when you restart, you can obviously, you will have decided on yours, but you can see what decisions I made as well. Okay, so off you go. You can pause the video now. Okay, so welcome back. Hopefully now you have got your 6 or up to 6 instruments down there on your track. As you can see, I've got myself up to having 6 different things, and hopefully it's sounding great. Now you'll notice, looking at mine, I've decided to go very heavy on the kind of keyboard sounds. So there's 2 synthesizers. There's 1 keyboard, then we've got the electric guitar, the bass guitar, and the drums, and that's fine. I'm going to play it for you, see what you think of it. Maybe you like it, maybe you prefer yours. Who knows? The great thing about music is there's no right or wrong way of doing it, and there are our own kind of creative decisions. I like mine. There's some things I want to change about it as we go along, but so far I'm pretty happy, and hopefully you're very happy with yours as well. So I'm going to press play and let you have a little listen through, and then we'll talk about the last step that we're going to do today. Okay, so have a listen. Okay, so there we are then. That is mine. My chorus all the way through. Now, one thing that we haven't done yet, or certainly I haven't shown you yet, is that we have our section A, we have our section B, but to make it really sound good, we need to hear that change between when we go from section A over to section B. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click back to section A for a second. I'm going to press play and just listen to it, and then just when I get right to the end of the view at the top, where it says we're playing through, I'm going to press on the B button and it'll just change to section B, and we'll see kind of how much impact that changes. What we're looking for is for one section to kind of be quieter in section A, and then when section B comes in, that there's a big kind of boom and it has some real impact as the drop comes in. Okay, so let's see if mine has worked. I haven't done this yet, so this is as new to me as it is to you, but let's see how it sounds. Okay, so I don't know how well that came across as I'm kind of recording the iPad screen onto my computer. There's a bit of a lag from when I press things to when it actually seems to actually activate. So we didn't quite get the timing of it right, but it's certainly, it's a step up, isn't it? I'm not sure whether there's quite enough difference for me yet, but I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, now one thing that I didn't show you earlier, we talked about adding instruments, but we can also change instruments in one section and it won't affect the other section. So I'm very happy with the start where it's kind of chilled out. I'm pretty happy with this section, but I just want to show you just if there's something particularly that you want to change, that you can. So I'm just going to have a look at my third track along, which is called Easy Arp, and it's a synth. Okay, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the title where it says Easy Arp, and I had a look earlier as we were working when you were adding your extra tracks, and I discovered that if I slide along, I can't remember whether it is this one called Modder or this one called No Go Area, which I liked. I liked one of them a little bit more on this section than the Easy Arp. So I'm just going to have a listen and I'm going to just check which one it was that I liked. Okay, so is that one Modder I just like? I don't know if I play it just by itself. it doesn't do too much, but I just like it kind of comes in at the start of the each bar, and it just gives it that little, almost that sound effect quality, and I liked that. So I'm going to leave it like that. Maybe you want to change your drums. In a second I am going to change my drums just so I've got a different drum rhythm between the two sections, but you do it in exactly the same way. And yeah, that is about everything really. So again, have a little bit more time, pause the video. Well, obviously the video is about to finish, so end the video and carry on experimenting. By the time you've finished with the activity from today, hopefully you'll have those 6 different tracks, or maybe 5 if that's what you'd choose, but you'd have the 2 sections, one with less tracks, one with more tracks, with at least some additional tracks. But then I'd like you to maybe go back and try and change at least 1 or 2 of your tracks so they're different in the 2 sections. And what you'll find is it really breaks your 2 sections down into kind of more different. It'll make them more different, it'll make them more interesting, and it'll make that drop when it changes from one section to the other just a little bit more impactful. So have a go at that. Obviously you're free to do that and then finish whenever you're done. Next week we will have a little bit of a look at how we can change the chords and the different and make it a little bit more interesting that way, and we will look at kind of a bit more in terms of structure, giving it more and more interest as we add over the next few weeks to our song. But play around, see what else you can do. Try not to change this song too much past what we're doing. So don't start, if you've kind of already had a look and you've seen how you can kind of change chords, change tempo, change all of those things, maybe save that for a different project. You can start as many projects on the app as you want, obviously, but keep the one we're doing in class kind of on the same time kind of part that I'm showing you, just so that we go through it together. As always, please share videos, share pictures. I would love to see how you're getting on. I really enjoyed this week just seeing some of them and seeing just some of the different choices that you'd made. If you can video with another device, your iPad or your tablet or your computer or whatever you're doing it on, playing it, you can share that on Twitter, you can share that on Microsoft Teams, and it means I can start to hear some of your songs as well. You can actually export the file as a sound file, so you can always post that into the assignments as Teams, and I can hear that, and that would be really cool to see how they are progressing. Okay, but yeah, other than that, I think that is everything today. So enjoy experimenting, getting your song sounding really great, and I will see you again next week. Okay, goodbye.